and relax. This is just recording me. It's not recording any of you. So I can put it on YouTube. That's it, letting your head roll to the right and to the left. Keeping it easy, keeping it relaxed. And just focusing on perhaps easing out any tightness there might be in the back of your neck and letting the back of your shoulders settle on the floor. Sarah, would you like some water, lovely? Because you haven't got any. Or have you got some? You have. Oh, well done. Okay. Great. So just from rolling your head, eventually find a place where you can settle the center of the back of your head on the floor. And then just let the head settle and rest. So we're going to focus on some sort of twisty movements on our back. So you're going to, if your legs are long, you're now going to bend your knees and stand your feet on the floor. And when you're ready, you're going to start to let your knees tilt a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left. So Maz, I imagine quite a lot of what we're doing is going to be familiar to you from stuff we did just several years ago. But if anything isn't, just ask me. Good, that's it. So let the knees tilt to the right and to the left. And keep this movement well within your sort of comfort zone. So don't feel that you need to push anything at this point. And just notice how this feels around the pelvis, into the hip joints, also to your low ribs, because as the knees move, the pelvis comes along, the low ribs also may come along a bit. Good. So a couple more times to the left and to the right. And then settling down in the center. And we're going to do a movement now for the upper body, for the arms. And yeah, we're going to leave the sort of pelvis and legs settled. So you can keep your knees bent, or if you're comfy, you could lengthen if it's comfortable, you could lengthen your legs out on the ground. So you're going to take, that's it, you're going to take your arms up towards the ceiling. And you're going to make a big circle with your arms and interlink your fingers. That's it. So you imagine you were holding above your chest, Maz. So imagine you're holding a beach ball on your chest. That's it, good. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start to rock across your upper back. So you're rocking this circle and your head a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left. But what you want to do is make sure your circle stays circular, yeah? So if your circle is getting all squashy, then you might be going too far. You've made this circle. Hi, Nigel. Nice to see you. We're lying down. Yeah, so you've made a circle with your arms and you're rocking side to side across your upper back. You're letting your head move with your arms. You could either be looking at your hands or you could be closing your eyes once you know what you're doing and feeling this movement. So we can particularly feel this in the upper back, those sort of tight places, you know, between the shoulder blades. And whenever your arms get tired, just let the arms come to rest. Having fun there with the dog smell. Okay, so let your arms come to rest. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And if you were here, Maz, Penny, Sarah, at the beginning of class, and you brought your attention to your breathing, and also the rest of you, just come back to seeing how your breathing feels. So if you were here at the beginning, you've got a point of comparison. After this little bit of movement, how does it feel when you bring your attention to your breath? Just for another cycle or two of that. And then when you're ready, bending your knees, standing your feet on the floor. This is if your legs are long. Good. And come back to letting your knees tilt to the right and to the left. You might want your feet slightly wider apart, Penny, actually. Yeah, I think they were last time. I mean, they don't have to be necessarily that wide, but yeah. Yeah, so come back to that tilting the knees to the right and to the left. notice how it feels, because often when we come to move the upper body, then when we come back to this, it might just feel a bit easier or a bit more enjoyable or a bit more fluid. Good. So once, twice more, let the knees tilt to the right and to the left. And then we're going to do another movement for the upper body. So lengthen your legs out if you like, or if you prefer, keep your knees bent, that's fine. So you're going to take your arms up towards the ceiling again, over your chest, but this time, keep your arms straight and touch your hands together in prayer pose. So you're making a triangle with your arms, that's it. So have your hands a bit more over your chest mouth rather than your head, that's it, good. And then start to rock your triangle to the right and to the left. So you're rocking across your upper back, good. Letting your head move, but keeping your elbows straight and not letting your hands slide. Yeah, so these are two things to notice. Are your elbows staying straight? And are your hands staying stuck together? Good. That's it. And if your knees are bent, just make sure, I can't, yeah, none of you with bent knees are moving below the pelvis, which is great. And just try and find a rhythmic movement and keep rocking across your upper back. That's really nice. And I can find this one can sometimes, really bring me in touch with some of those tight muscles in the upper back between the shoulder blades. If it does feel like it's almost verging on painful, just do less, keep it small. And whenever you want to rest, bring your arms down. And then it's really nice just to let the arms be heavy by the sides, or your hands come onto your belly, and the arms can hopefully really relax after that and just be heavy. Let the breath come in, let the breath lead you. And then one last time, you're going to bend your knees, stand your feet on the floor, and come to tilting your knees to the right and to the left. Good. Very nice. And from here, when you're ready, you're going to fold your knees into your chest. That's it. Just hold around your knees. You can have a little rock. You can rock a little bit from side to side. You can circle around the back of your pelvis. And whenever you're ready, you can take your arms and legs up to the ceiling and give them a shake out. That's it. Good. Maybe do that a couple of times. So sort of fold your knees back into your chest, and then you can repeat that one again if you like, taking the arms and legs up, giving them another shake out. Yeah, well, rocking is really nice, Maz. So really at this point, whatever feels nice for you, whether you want to take your legs up to the ceiling or whether you want to just rock across the back of your body, or if you prefer to bring your feet back onto the floor. From here, we're going to, in a moment, I just want you to contemplate this before we do it. We're going to make our way over onto our side, have a couple of breaths on our side, and then make your way into standing. So yeah, maybe thinking about it rather than doing it is good. Rolling onto your side. Just, yeah. Give yourself time to adjust. And eventually we'll make our way over into standing. So it's really nice that the sun's come out. I was just thinking it felt like the first day of winter today. So we're going to come up into standing. We're going to do a couple of, well, we're going to start with our loose, easy swinging twist. And then we're going to do a couple of simple balancing things and then a bit of a sequence. So start just once you arrive, that's it, swinging your arm. Letting your arms slap onto your body. Good. That's nice. Letting the whole of yourself come along with this movement. So the arms slapping onto the body is optional. You can just swing your arms in the air. Depends how much you need to wake yourself up on this Monday morning. So, just like me, maybe the wind woke you up. Good. So a few more times, just enjoying that feeling of the whole of the body in movement. Motion. Good. Very nice. Okay, just once or twice more. Otherwise we could stay here all day. And then let that go and come to settle down. So just maybe starting by looking at your feet, having your feet a little distance apart. And we're going to come into a really simple forward bend, and it might be nice. So once you've settled your feet down, it might be nice to come rest your elbows on your thighs with your knees a bit bent. Let your head really go. And then from here, if you like, you can release your arms to the ground, or you can keep your elbows on your thighs. But whatever you're doing, just see if you can really let your head go. Yes, elbows on the thighs is a good sort of starting point. Just, yeah, sinking into your heels, trying to let the head hang, noticing how your lower back feels. Good. Bending your knees as much as you like. So in our forward bend, we're going to feel this up the backs of our legs, and we're possibly going to feel it through the lower back if we're a bit tight there. If you let the head go, you can maybe feel the back of the neck lengthening. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you, and then you can make your way back up on an exhalation, sinking into your heels. And if it all felt a little bit stiff and creaky, don't worry, because we'll be doing some more. From here, you're going to exhale, let your arms come up, and just a little bit of reaching up. So you're going to reach up into one arm and then the other. So we feel we're lengthening through one side of the body and then the other. So what I tend to do is I tend to shift my weight into my reaching arm side. I'll shift my weight into that leg and foot, not completely. You're not taking the other foot off the floor. But if you shift your weight into your reaching arm leg, then you can feel a bit longer through that side of the body. So just do that a couple more times. And then not everyone likes to have their arms up for very long. So just bring your arms down. Maybe just swing your arms a couple of times out to the side and then let the arms hang. So we're going to take the arms back up again. And we're going to do the variation where we catch one of our wrists. So let's just give your hands a little shake out. Exhale, swing the arms back up. So this time, say if you reach up through your right arm, then catch your left hand around your right wrist and just sort of draw yourself up and over to the left, feeling long through the side of your body. Again, you could shift your weight into your right leg. And then come back to the center, reach up through the left arm, catch your right hand around the left wrist, and then lengthening yourself over to the right. So the left side of the body is lengthening out. Your weight could shift into your left leg. And then from here, we're going to come back down into a forward bend. So release the arms. If you want to bring your elbows to your thighs, you can do. Otherwise, hold all the way forward. Sinking into your heels, knees as bent as you like, nice and floppy through the upper body. So down into a forward bend. Good. That's it. It looks very nice, forward bends, everyone. Give yourself another couple of breaths in the forward bend. So little by little, as we go forwards, we just start to lengthen out through the back of our body, the back of our legs, and lower back in particular. And then from here, when you're ready to come up, you can have another couple of breaths there if you like. When you're ready to come up, sink into your heels, roll back up into standing. And you're going to do a little bit of maybe shaking each leg out in turn. So I always like this. This is like a bit of a sneaky balance because you're focusing on the leg you're shaking out. I shouldn't have said that. Once you've shaken each leg out, then give your arms a bit of a shake out. And then again, settle your feet down. So have a look at your feet, settle them down a little distance apart, and then stop looking at your feet and bring your hands into prayer pose in front of your chest. So I tend to rest my thumbs actually on my breastbone and then just let the shoulders settle. And start to just do a little bit of swaying from side to side. Because in a moment, you're going to bring your weight completely onto one leg, and you're going to bring the other foot to stand on top of the foot you've chosen to stand on. So you're swaying from side to side to choose which foot you want to stand on first. So when you're ready, you can think, okay, I've chosen the leg I'm going to stand on. I'm going to shift my weight onto that foot. I'm going to bring the other foot to stand on my standing foot. It's a very simple little balance. Doesn't mean it's easy. If you feel wobbly, you could bring your toes back to the floor. That's fine beside you. Just see how it feels to settle here. Can the shoulders drop? Can you make sure you're breathing? Maybe even smiling. You might feel a bit inane on your own, but it relaxes the face. Good. Good. Okay, just a little, very dark. This is just a little sort of mini, to come down as a little shakeout, it's just a little mini test of how is our balance today. And it could be a bit challenged by the wind. There's lots of things that could challenge our balance, but wind is one of them. So come back to hands in prayer pose if you shook your arms out. Settle your feet down and do a little bit of swaying. And then when you're ready, bring your weight over your second leg and foot. And then the other foot comes to stand on it. Good. That's it. And just how does it feel to settle down here? And of course, it obviously helps to find a point to focus on, a steady point somewhere in front of you. So obviously, if any, like I was saying last week, you turn and look at the wall, if that works, but you're doing very well there. Good. If we can have another breath or two or even three. We have all these little wobbles when we're trying to balance, and some of the wobbles we can withstand, and some of those we can't. It's fine. You can just sort of come back into the balance. Yeah, come down, have a little bit of a shakeout. So we're going to come into a sequence now from the back of our mat. So come to stand at the back of your mat. And this is going to take us down onto the ground through a forward bend and dog pose and things like that. So stand at the back of your mat with your hands in prayer pose. And just take a moment to feel the contact of your feet on the floor, the contact of your palms in prayer pose. You could close your eyes for a moment if you like. Maybe make contact, that connection with your breathing. So feel the breath come in, feel the breath leave you. Let the breath come in and open your eyes. And then as you exhale, take your arms down and then up. So feel long and tall here. And then as you exhale, again, you're going to fold down into a forward bend. Have a couple of breaths in this forward bend. And then when you're ready, you're going to walk your hands forwards into dog pose. And we're not going to stay a hugely long period of time in this dog pose. So maybe just a few cycles of breath, bending your knees as much as you need to. And there's just always that judgment, isn't there, about how far forward do you walk your hands for your dog. Try to let the head go, try to let the shoulders soften. That's it, Penny, well done, good. Good. From this dog pose, you're going to be coming down onto hands and knees. And on hands and knees, we're going to do some cat movements. So you're going to do some rounding your back to the ceiling and dipping your spine down to the floor. So come to your cat movements and just seeing how they feel. So how does it feel through your spine as you dip your spine down to the floor? And how does it feel as you round your back to the ceiling? Can you let your head go? Can you let your tailbone tip down to the ground and just move between them? Let your breath flow in and out. You may find that naturally your breathing starts to coordinate with the movement, and that's fine, but you don't need to do that. you're comfortable, do this a couple more times, rounding and dipping. Whenever you're ready, you're going to come into child pose from a rounded cat. So you're going to round your back to the ceiling and you're going to stay rounded as you rock your hips back over your heels into child pose. And obviously your knees can come a little bit wider apart if that's good. Let your elbows settle onto the floor. Maybe your forehead touches the floor. Child pose is this good time to just have a couple of quiet breaths and let the body settle down. In child pose rather, what I'd like you to do now is slide your hands forwards on the floor so your elbows come off the ground. So sort of reach forwards with your arms, your forehead will still be on the ground. And then keep your hands there and come up onto hands and knees. So what should happen is you're in a long hands and knees position. Your hands are further forwards than your shoulders. And you're just then going to do a little bit of, how does it feel to start to rock forward? So to bring your pelvis forwards a little bit, bring your weight, your shoulders more over your hands. So we're just heading towards face up dog, but very easy. Yeah, you don't have to go all the way. This is our sort of little bit of tentatively edging towards face up dog, and we'll come back to it in a bit. So just a few times. If you feel you need your hands further forwards, then by all means move them further forward. Okay. And it might feel very easy for you. You might feel, oh, I can just sort of, you know, pop into face up dog and it all feels super easy and nice. And at some point, you're probably going to want to take the weight off your hands and wrists. So sit back in kneeling. You can either then come into sitting down in kneeling or being in up kneeling, shaking your hands out, bringing the backs of your hands together. Okay. Good. And the hands a bit of a wiggle. That's it. That's the one, imagine just, yeah, wiggling your hands a bit. So stretching the wrists the other way. And then we're going to come back onto hands and knees, just the normal hands and knees now. We're going to go through dog pose, forward bend, back up into standing, and then we'll come back into the sequence again. So hands and knees, tuck the toes under, exhaling, rocking your hips back and then up into dog. So see how your dog pose feels coming into it from the ground. Of course, bending your knees, walking on the spot. You know, yeah, second dog pose, we're probably still just undoing a bit, getting, you know, lengthening out all those creaky, dusty corners. If, however, your dog pose is feeling really nice and you want to have a couple more breaths there, you can do. Otherwise, you're going to start to walk your hands in towards your feet and coming into a forward bend. And hopefully we've done a few forward bends. So hopefully this is starting to feel a bit more easy and enjoyable in the body. We're going to roll up into standing, touching the backs of the hands together. So if you touch the backs of your hands together, you can then trail your hands up the front of your body. That's it now, straight up to the ceiling. You can then breathe in and then exhale, take your arms, if you've got space, out in a big circle all the way down and back up into prayer pose. Good. And then just have a look at your feet. Settle your feet down a little distance apart. Sometimes they end up a bit wider. That's it. Have your feet a bit closer, Sarah, from dog pose. And then we're going to go back down through into the sequence again and do something different this time when we get to the floor. So let a breath come in as you exhale, take your arms down and then up. Feeling long and tall, receiving an inhalation, and then exhaling down into your forward bend. So in your own time, a couple of breaths in your forward bend, and then on into dog pose for maybe 3 cycles of breath, something like that. Good. So each time we come into dog pose, hopefully we just put the axis from forward bend into dog pose. Each time we come into dog pose, hopefully we're a little bit more able to settle in dog pose. Letting the breath flow in, letting the breath leave. Now, you've got two choices from here. From dog, we're going to come into lunge. You can either go into lunge from dog or come down onto hands and knees and then bring one foot forward into lunge. So yeah, it really depends what you would prefer to do. So yes, to hands and knees, if that's your chosen position, step 1 foot forward. Make sure your knee is over your heel, that's it. And then you might want to tuck your toes under in your back leg and walk the back leg away behind you. Yes, ending up off the back of the mat, Penny, which is fine. So, and you could, so in your lunge, maybe just have a couple of breaths and see how it feels. Make sure your front knee is over your front heel. If you then wanted to do a bit of sort of toing and froing, so easing back out of lunge, you could untuck your back toes, keep your chest close to your thigh, and then sort of rock back and look back behind you. That's it, good. And then you can rock yourself forwards again into lunge. See how it feels. And it's up to you. So if you want to do a bit of easing sort of in and out of lunge, if that's helpful for you today. Often I find is if I sort of ease back once and then come and stay in lunge, that works quite well. And obviously what we're looking for in lunge is this feeling of opening through the front of the back leg thigh. A lovely lunge. That's it. We'll swap sides in a moment. So perhaps either if you want to come into a dog pose between sides, you can do, or perhaps just ease back. Do the easing back out of lunge, and then swap sides on hands and knees. So other foot forwards, and just taking that time when you come to side 2 of lunge, just having a look at your foot. The foot should be well planted on the floor, which means be parallel, toes long and relaxed, and then particularly that feeling that your knee is over your heel. You can have a breath or two in lunge. If you're someone who's more comfortable taking their foot a bit more out to the side and having both hands on the inside of that front foot, you can do that. That's another option. And then if you want to do your easing in and out, you can do that as well. Good. So I'm just, giving you some options here because I know lunge can be, it can be rather intense, and you just want to get the most out of it, what's right for us. So opening through the back leg. Good. So it might be if you've had enough on that side of lunge, you're going to ease back. And then we're going to come back onto hands and knees, or if you prefer, because we're all going to go into dog pose now. We're going to go from dog pose, forward bend, back into standing. So you could go from lunge straight into dog, or hands and knees, tucking your toes under, exhaling, coming into dog pose, and just seeing how that dog pose feels now. I was just thinking, oh yes, it looks very nice in the shoulders looking very nice. So I was just thinking how nice dog pose felt after lunge. Right? When we come into sort of opposite movement, lovely. So dog pose, and then dog, walking your hands in towards your feet. So coming into your forward bend, touching the backs of your hands together in your forward bend, rolling up into standing, trailing your hands up the front of your body, straight up to the ceiling, receiving an in-breath, feeling long and tall, and then exhaling your arms in a big circle. Good. We're going to go one last time back through the sequence, and this time we'll return to cat and face-up dog. All the layers are coming off here. So I was thinking about putting the heating on today, and then I checked the thermometer, which was saying 25, surprisingly, so it felt about 15. Maybe not. Okay, so hands in prayer pose. Settling your feet on the floor, letting a breath come in as you exhale, take your arms down and then up. Feeling long and tall, dropping your shoulders away from your ears, and then curling down, folding down into your forward bend. Lovely. Let your head go in your forward bend, and then walking your hands forwards into dog pose. And just perhaps 2 or 3 breaths in this dog pose. Again, unless you're like, wow, this suddenly feels really nice, I want to stay here a bit longer. And from this dog pose, we're going to come down onto hands and knees. And we're going to come back to our cat movement, just a few cycles of cat. So rounding the back to the ceiling, dipping the spine down to the floor, seeing how cat feels now. And then we're going to use cat to take us into face up dog. So maybe the next time you round your back to the ceiling, stay rounded and tuck your toes under. And then stay rounded still and rock your hips back over your heels. Back. Okay, so hips back over the heels, and then walk your hands forwards a little bit on your mat. Oh, we're going to face up dog there rather than that dog. It's all right, don't worry. So we've walked our hands forward. You're going to let the breath come in, and then as you exhale, you're traveling forwards, rounding your back to the ceiling, looking back at your pelvis, coming all the way into face up dog. And then we can reverse that movement. So we can start to rock back. We can tuck our toes under. We can look back behind us, round our back. So we're back in this sort of long child pose with the toes tucked under and the elbows off the floor. Let a breath come in, and then traveling forwards to face up dog, rounding your back to the ceiling. So we're really lengthening out the lower back as we come forward. Good. Letting the pelvis go, shoulders down away from the ears. That's very good. One more time, you can reverse that movement all the way back, tucking the toes under, rounding your back into that sort of long child pose with the elbows off the ground. Breathing in, use the out breath to take you forward into face up dog, rounding your back. That's it, very nice. Good. And from face up dog, you can have a couple of breaths there. You're then going to go all the way back into child pose. And just come back to being quiet in child, feeling your breath when you're moving through your body. So we're going to come one more time up into standing, and we're going to do one more standing balance. So if you've had enough dog, you can just come into standing however you like, but it might be, you know, the more we do it, it starts to pay off. So it might be quite nice to do another dog pose, forward bend up into standing. But yes, if you've had enough, you don't have to do dog pose. But yeah, if you come into dog, it's always, if you come into dog and it feels good, then why not enjoy it? You come into dog and it doesn't feel so great, then move on into your forward bend. And if you end up in your forward bend and it feels really nice. So really important to be able to, yeah, if we suddenly come into something in yoga and it just feels good and lovely, like that child pose, as you see, you can stay there. And it's important to take the time to enjoy it. If you're in your forward bend and you want to roll up into standing, touching the backs of your hands together, you can do. Let your arms grow up to the ceiling, feel long and tall. And then the arms come down in a big circle. Good. You could maybe have a little shake out in standing. So I'm just going to just quickly run through. We're going to do this balance where we could do a number of little mini balances. So we're sliding our foot back behind us, first of all. We're coming to a mini tree. And then we're doing this one where we bend our standing knee and we cross the other leg over it, okay? So we've got these 3 little leg positions. All the time, we're gonna have our hands in prayer pose, so we don't worry about our hands, basically. So start off by bringing your hands into prayer pose and then having a look at your feet and just settling your feet. Yes, and if you want to look at the wall rather than anybody else, or heaven forbid, a mirror. So good. Or your screen, yeah. So settling down and just maybe a little bit of swaying from side to side. So choosing which leg and foot you want to stand on first. I think that probably sounds really strange. It's got to be the same leg and foot, okay? Can't pick and choose between those two. Okay. And so the first thing you're going to do is shift your weight onto your chosen leg and come up onto the ball of the other foot. And then start to slide that foot back behind you and flip onto the top of your toes. And just see if you can settle there. Let the shoulders settle a bit. You could try straightening your back, straightening that knee of that leg that's slid back behind you. Sometimes my foot starts to cramp, so just be aware of that. Good. And then slide that foot back in under your pelvis and let your knee turn out to the side so you can come to this mini tree pose. So your foot's coming onto your ankle. You could have a few toes on the floor if you're feeling a bit unsteady. That's fine. Good. See if you can connect with your breathing now. Feel the breath come in, feel the breath leave you. And then bring your toes onto the floor now for a moment so you can bend your standing knee. So we're going to do the final little bit of balance where we cross our leg over our bent standing knee and we try to stay upright. So this is our sort of little eagle leg balance. And because we've bent the knee, it becomes much more muscular and you can just sort of feel all the muscles around the ankle, perhaps around the hip joint. Good. We maybe can't stay there too long. So everyone looks pretty steady. Well done. Come down, have a little shake out. Good. So we obviously end up balancing for a little bit longer as we're doing a few different things, but do come down at any point. Okay, let's try side 2. So settle the feet down. So just organizing your feet, bringing your hands into prayer pose. Maybe just take a quiet moment here in standing to close your eyes and feel yourself in standing. Maybe even a little bit of swaying from side to side. And then whenever you're ready, you're going to open your eyes, find that point to focus your gaze on. That helps you, and shift your weight onto your second foot. So come onto the ball of the foot you just stood on and then slide that foot back behind you and slip onto the top of your toes. See what it's like to straighten the knee. Have a breath or two there, let the shoulders soften. And then slide the foot back in and come on into your mini tree pose with your foot on your ankle. Could have a couple of toes on the floor. Good. Let the breath come in, let the breath leave. And then bring your toes to the floor for a moment so you can bend your standing knee. Just try and stay upright through the rest of your body and then cross the raised leg over the bent standing knee. And see how it feels to settle here in our balance. Good. Shoulders relaxed, breathing, smiling. Lovely. And then have a little shake out. Might be nice to just come back to that sort of loose swinging twist we did right at the beginning of standing, if you like. Good. So we're going to make our way into sitting now. And there's a couple of ways you could do it. We're going to come into Cobbler Pose. So you could just sit down into Cobbler Pose. One way I was going to suggest is a forward bend and then a squat. and then into cobbler pose. Elaine, you could do a forward bend and then dog pose and then down into cobbler pose. So yeah, really up to you. So if you thought it might be quite nice to do a squat at this point. Oh, what I was going to say is if you are going to come down through a forward bend and squat, face the long edge of your mat and be in the middle of it like I am, because then you'll be sort of well set up on your mat for cobbler pose. So if you're going to do the, if you're going to do this way, come down into a forward bend. Might be quite nice to do one last forward bend because everything hopefully has released through the back of the body. So down through a forward bend. And then from your forward bend, you're going to be bending your knees forwards over your feet, coming down through a squat. It doesn't matter if your heels come up, yeah? And obviously, do whatever works best with your Achilles. And then from, from our squat, you can use your fingers on the floor behind you to lower your bottom down. So we end up in cobbler pose. And you could lean back on your hands. Okay, good. So I just want you to just have a little taste of how does cobbler pose feel now. And if you like, you can hold your feet, you can do a little bit of rocking from side to side. I've got a particular little exercise we're going to do in a moment, but I just like you to have a couple of breaths in cobbler pose. I tend to, when I first come into cobbler pose, just lean back on my arms and let my legs relax as much as they can. And actually, this is quite good because the first thing we're going to do here, or the exercise we're going to do here, is you're going to take your right hand. So you're going to carry on leaning through your left arm. Take your right hand and catch the outside edge of your left foot. So we've got right hand and left foot. That's it. And then can we just swing? That's it. So magic, that's it. If you lean on your left arm and hand, that's it. Good. So you've got opposite hand and foot. That's nice. And you're just swinging your leg a little bit to the right and to the left. That's it. Just trying to find a nice sort of easy movement. Good. Okay, and then you can swap over your arms. So you're going to come to lean on your right arm. You're going to take your left hand and catch the outside edge of your right foot. And just give that leg a little bit of swing. Oh, what I forgot to say is if you're more comfortable lengthening out the other leg that remains on the floor rather than keeping it bent, that's absolutely fine. If there's a more comfortable option, good. And then just swinging that leg a little bit. And then from here, just see how it feels to come back into your cobbler pose. So settle your feet back on the floor. Good. You can keep your hands behind you. You could hold your feet for a moment. If you like to do the rocking from side to side, you could do that, either holding your feet or with your hands beside you. That's it. Good. Okay. So just have a moment in cobbler pose, just seeing how it feels. It's not the easiest place to be long and tall in. You need to perhaps hold on to your feet or have your hands behind you. Okay, good. And then if you're happy in cobbler pose, have another breath or two there. Otherwise, just lean back on your arms and lengthen both legs out. And give the legs a bit of a roll. So all these sitting things can sometimes, be quite challenging for us to feel comfortable. So if we're doing something and it isn't comfortable, do come out. Now, take your legs a little bit wider apart, not massively wide. And then you're going to, let's see, if you keep leaning on your right arm, bend your left knee. Doesn't matter too much. I'm just going to tilt my screen down because I'm slightly getting cut off. So what you're going to do is left hand on the left knee. Have your foot further out to the side, Penny. Yeah, or your leg, doesn't matter, because you're then going to start to rock your left knee out to the side and towards the long leg. So that's it. If your foot's too close to your long leg, then if you're rocking your knee towards your long leg, if there's enough space, the knee can come down onto the floor towards your long leg. So let me just tilt my screen slightly. Because, So that's it. So we've got this internal rotation of the hip, external rotation of the hip. So that's sort of cobbler pose. This internal one is the one that we're just going to look at now. So what I'd like you to do is the next time your knee comes towards your long leg, stay there and then just see what's possible with this leg in terms of bringing the foot a little bit closer in. So Penny, you might find that you can come exactly. So some of you might find from here, you can come onto the top of your foot, so towards the half virasana. And some of you might find that this, that foot doesn't come in very much. And then from here, you've got two options. So if your foot's, a bit further out like this, you could bend the long leg and you're in pinwheel. So that's one option. If you've managed to come onto the top of your foot, so more like a half virasana, you could then bend the other knee, but stand your foot on the floor and just go, and maybe about going back a little bit, okay? So we're either in pinwheel here, doing a little bit of circling, or we've stood this foot on the floor, yeah, and you've bent the other knee and you're just going back a little bit. That's it, in a half virasana. Okay, yeah, good. Matt, are you okay there? Yeah, that's good. And then from here, we won't stay in any of these too long. Just ease your way out, lengthen both legs out without anything feeling that it's getting stuck. Give your legs a bit of a roll. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So your starting point is to have your legs long and a bit wide, not hugely wide. So this time, lean on your left arm and bend your right knee. So you've got your right hand on your right knee. You've got this distance, between your foot and your thigh. So you then can start to external rotation, internal rotation. Good. Keep leaning on that left arm and actually keep leaning onto the left sort of buttock as well. So this leg is quite nice and loose and free because you're not taking the weight into the right buttock. This makes it a lot easier to move this leg. And then just like we did on the other side, stay with your knee coming towards the long leg. And then just see what's possible. We can stay on the outside edge of this leg, and then we could bend the other knee and come into pinwheel. So we've got both legs sort of down on the ground. Or we could come, some of you may find you can come onto the top of the foot. So you're in a half virasana. And then you bend the other knee, but you stand your foot on the floor. That's it. Maybe have your foot slightly further away from your thigh, Penny. Just, the standing foot. So rather than being right by your thigh, have that sort of little this space because you just feel a bit more steady. So if you're in a half virasana, you can then think about just going back a little bit. That's it. So what we're thinking about is to sort of stretch through here. If you're going back in half virasana, if you're in pinwheel, you're just doing a bit of circling. Yeah. Here. In fact, you could be in somewhere sort of between the two. That's it. Okay. And then just easing your way out, leaning back onto your hands, lengthening your legs out, giving them a bit of a roll. There's some strange noise. And then from here, let's just one last time come into cobbler pose and just see how it sits. It feels to come for a couple of breaths into cobbler pose. So sit and have a couple of breaths in cobbler pose. Well, I just tell you what we're going to do next, which is, I know something Monday people you can be quite keen on, which is a little bit of rolling up towards shoulder stand. And I've folded my mat in two. And you just want to be able to maybe put your feet either on a wall or a sofa. So Maz, it looks like you've got a sofa. So what we'll do from here, and I'm sure my AirPod is going to fall out in a minute, is we'll come and settle on our mat. And then we'll start just doing a bit of rolling up through our spine. And it may be that you go from here on into shoulder stand, depending how it fits. Okay. So fold your mat. If you want to fold your mat in half, you can do. Find either some wall space, a bed, a sofa, where you can put your feet up. And then just let yourself settle. I was doing that all very quickly, but you need to take some time to settle down. So Penny, I think you might need to put your mat the other way, because otherwise you might end up, basically you need to make sure you've got enough padding under the very sort of knobbly vertebrae at the base of your neck. So if you're on a carpeted floor, then it's not such an issue. And Sheila, on that rug, it'll be very nice. But yeah, if you've got a wooden floor behind you, what you don't want to end up is with that sort of knobbly vertebrae pressing into the floor. Good. So if you're using a wall, that's it. You probably don't want your bottom right up against the wall or sofa, so shuffle up away. So if you're using the sofa, Penny, you have your feet on the edge of the sofa. So you can, yeah, see, I think you need your bottom a bit further away from the sofa. Good. If you're using a wall, you've got your knees bent and your feet standing on the wall. If you're using a sofa or a bed, you've got your knees bent and your feet on the edge of the sofa or the bed. You let your arms rest down by your sides. And then you're just pressing into your feet and you're letting your pelvis come off the floor and some of your spine. And you're just seeing, how does it feel to roll up and down through your spine? And you're using your legs to lift the pelvis and spine off the floor, so that pressure through the feet. And you play around, Penny, because it might, I mean, if it's better to have your feet on the sofa rather than on the edge, try that as well. I'm not quite sure what works better. I often quite like, is that better? Okay, yeah. Depends on the height of things. So maybe yeah. So what I would say is roll up and down a couple of times. I mean, I know some of you really love shoulder stand, and if that's the case, you can, you know, roll up and down a couple of times and then head on into your shoulder stand. And Maz, I can't remember whether you loved shoulder stand or not. I just remember talking to you about it with, no, like me then. So if you're in the camp of finding shoulder stand a bit of a struggle, just do a bit of rolling up and down like this. And feeling that you're letting your weight come onto your shoulders. What about you, Penny? Okay. So what I would say is just bring your knees to your forehead for a moment and turn your hands the other up. That's it, that way round. Good. And then when you take your legs up, send your heels to the ceiling. So imagine you're standing on the ceiling. That's it. And then if you feel that you can go taller, just walk your hands down your back, and down is towards the floor. That's it. And then stretch your heels up. Good. Good. You know, this, you can go up, you can come, you know, you can come back down. So how do you come down is keep one knee at your forehead and take one foot back to the sofa. So the knee at your forehead is going to be a counterbalance so that you just don't collapse. Yeah, that's it. And just slowly, or you can just lower your pelvis onto the floor. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, if you haven't done something like that for sort of 10 years, it's like, oh my goodness, where am I? So there's a lot of just that, your body, you know, your whole nervous system trying to understand what's going on. Very nice shoulder stands, I can see in Zoom. So don't feel under any pressure to go up into shoulder stands. Rolling up and down through the spine is really good. Yeah, you can go like that, Penny, absolutely. And also, if you just want to lie with your legs up on the sofa, yeah, that's very nice, that's good. Up on the sofa or with your legs up the wall. Yeah, it's good to have done a second one. It probably feels a little bit easier. Just see if you can just let yourself sort of find a place where you can be quiet and relaxed. It might be with both knees at your forehead, so you're not so tall. Yeah, so you know, that's it. Yeah, yes, that one where you take. Yeah, that's quite a relaxing one. Good. Yeah, so a couple of people are here in the room. Sarah and Penny are sort of doing the one where you're in shoulder stand and then you take your knees down towards your forehead and then even your feet towards the floor behind your head. That's Kanapindasana. That can be quite relaxing. Yes, and just lying down with your legs up, which I think Aditi and Maz are doing. And yeah, very nice, Elaine. I'm sure this is really good for your knee being upside down in shoulder stand. have it wherever you are, just, have another couple of quiet breaths. And if you're still in shoulder stand or a variation, that's really nice, Penny. That sort of plow pose. It looks like you found somewhere you can sort of settle. But just then slowly starting to make your way down. And it's really important when we do things like this that we come down attentively as we went up. So you can just support your pelvis with your hands and gently lower it back onto the floor. And that's absolutely fine. Good. Or you can take one foot at a time to the wall. Lovely. And it might be nice once you come out of your shoulder stand, just to let your head roll a little bit on the floor from side to side. To ease your head from side to side. And we're going to move on. So there's no rush, but take your time. We're going to move on to doing a twist on our side. So Aditi, you could organize yourself lying on your side. So you're going to be on your side. You might want a cushion under your head for this one. So it depends. You're going to come onto your side and you want to have both arms out in front of you. So if it's comfortable to have the side of your head on the floor, that can be quite good for the neck. But if you prefer to have a cushion under the side of your head, so particularly if your bottom shoulder doesn't like the pressure of the floor, the knees bent in front of you, settle down onto your side. If you, cushion under the side of your head if you need it. Cushion, Penny, are you all right? Sarah, you okay there? You look quite happy. Okay, so settle on your side. We're going to do a slightly different arm movement in this one to the one that we normally do. Now, this does take a bit of space. So from here, we're going to be taking the top arm sort of up and over our shoulders towards the floor behind us and letting our head move with it. So often we slide the arm up our bottom arm, but this time you're actually taking your arm up towards the ceiling. So it's like you're drawing this big arc. So that's it, over your body. And you're taking the arm towards the floor behind you. You can let your top knee lift or slide up your bottom thigh to help with that movement. But what often happens in this is we bump into some item of furniture. So, and just make sure, going in and out of this movement with that, it's quite a sort of sweeping, generous movement of the arm. And again, if you can stay in this. So if you take your arm up, you let your head roll, your shoulder reaches the floor behind you, maybe because you've let your knee come up, you could stay there if that's comfortable. Yeah. But equally, you can move in and out of it. That's nice. And if you're staying there and you feel that you want to slide a cushion in between your knees, then that's another option. You could, if there's a cushion under your head, that's probably the point at which you move it between your knees. Good. And that's very nice. Whenever you've had enough on this side, just you could roll onto your back and just have a couple of breaths on your back before we do the other side, a few breaths on your back. So it's always very nice, isn't it, when we lie down onto our back? It's always a pleasure. So settle on your back for a few breaths. And then, yeah, Sheila, maybe have your knees a bit higher up. Oh, that's it. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, a few breaths on your back, and then you can make your way onto side 2 for this twist. Again, as I was saying to Sheila, have your knees at a right angle to your body. Maybe have your knee, and then you slide your feet forwards a little bit, Penny, if you can bear having them on the wooden floor, not the mat. Good. And then the same movement this time. We're drawing this, I'm going to think about it as a rainbow. We're drawing this big sort of rainbow with our arm across our shoulder. So the arms reaching up towards the ceiling and this big sort of sweeping movement towards the floor behind us, as much as our furnishings will allow. Good. And again, it's really up to you whether you keep moving or you settle and stay. Let the top leg help you. As you see, you might want your knees a little bit higher up and your feet a little bit further forward, possibly. Yeah, that's it, that's it, that's it, good. Yeah, so it's up to you whether you move or whether you stay. Again, all the time, just make sure that both shoulders are as comfortable as possible. Yeah, if you feel the bottom shoulder is feeling pressured, you need a cushion under the side of your head. If you feel that you're wrenching your top shoulder, then just let that top leg help you more. Good. Yeah, that's very nice. Top knee can really come up towards the ceiling. And whenever you feel it looks very nice, whenever you feel you've had enough on that side, you can make your way onto your back. So settle on your back. Have a couple of quiet breaths. If you feel at this point you need to put something warmer on, because we're going to finish, I think, just with a couple of simple twisty, rocking things on our back, and then a little bit of breathing. So yeah, the sun might be making it feel deceptively warm once you settle down. You're right there, so do you want a blanket? Okay. Otto, no, we are not finished just yet. There's a couple of minutes. Sit on the bed. Good boy. Okay, so we're just going to come back to bending the knees and standing the feet on the floor. And let's come back to tilting the knees from side to side, like we did at the start of class. Oh, Penny, I'm just going to move that candle. No, it's very close to your head. Health and safety. You've got all that scent there, but I'm, smell of burning hair. Anyway, we're all right. We're averted that. So letting the knees tilt from side to side. And then pause in the center and cross your arms over your chest like you're giving yourself a hug. Then you have that bottom hand up. That's it. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, and now let your knees, your elbows, and your head all rock to the right and all rock to the left. So you're rocking side to side. That's it, across the back of your body. This is where we can sort of give ourselves a little bit of a massage, maybe, by rolling from side to side. You can do this a couple more times if you like. And then eventually settling down, releasing your arms. You can keep your knees bent, or you can lengthen your legs out if you prefer. And your arms can rest by your side, or you could bring your hands onto your belly. Just going to have a couple of minutes of just sort of settling quietly, feeling the movement of our breath through our body, letting the body just settle and rest. And it's often at times like these when the body quietens that then maybe the mind starts to suddenly get busy and all these thoughts start flooding in. If that's the case, maybe we just let them flow in, but also let them flow out. And keep coming back to feeling that constant flow of our breath. The breath coming in, the breath leaving. I'm be quiet now for the next minute or so, and then I'll ring the singing bowl 3 times. to mark the end.
Take your time. There's no rush. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Clara.
Really nice to see you, Naz.
Nice to see you again.
When are you off to Spain, did you say?
I fly very early Saturday morning, so I'm driving to Gatwick Friday and staying in a hotel there.
Yeah.
So my flight's at 6:30 in the morning or something.
Yeah.
Then I'm back a week later. So.
Okay, so I'll probably see you there maybe.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
Lovely.
thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Kara.
Thank you. It's nice the
You
sun's
too.
come out. So take care. Lots of love. Bye.
Go on.